Hey guys, so I'm going to go over what I did on Friday, November 26, 2021. So this was the Friday after Thanksgiving, Black Friday here. We did not go shopping. In fact, we decidedly avoided stores. But we actually went for a walk, like we kind of typically do when we're all there as a family, talking, visiting as we go on these walks. So we walked at a kind of local park that is maybe, I don't know, 10 minutes away from my house. It's got lots of sports fields, like a whole bunch of baseball fields and a soccer field and a football field and just this paved trail that winds around this really big open grassy space. It's actually really close to I-75 here on the north part of Warner Robins, I guess, or Byron, which is where I live. And, we had this nice walk. It was very different than the wooded trail that we'd walked on earlier in the week because this was really, really open. So like not nearly as much tree cover, but this kind of nice facilities. I bet there's like a lot of kids leagues that play there, for like sports and stuff. But we've kind of checked out this local park because I'd driven by it before, hadn't actually really been there. Did that. Like I mentioned last time, now that I kind of have all these other matters settled, kind of thinking more about marriage and relationships and kind of what my role in them would be and, all of that sort of thing, specifically as it relates to us as Christians in the 21st century. So typing up some thoughts on that, still continuing that from the fairly or from the last day here. And then one of the other things I did, and I really did want to do this when my parents were around, was we had this conversation about a whole bunch of home related things that I might want to buy. So I kind of was making an eventual list of kind of fairly exhaustive list here of all the things that I want to buy as a homeowner, or also just now that I kind of have my own place and, what do I want to stock and put in the house? My parents, of course, have owned houses for a long time, much longer, probably longer than I've been alive, actually. They know a lot more than me about kind of good things to have on hand, born of experience and practical knowledge here. For example, battery powered flashlights. So this is if power goes out. Now, my parents, this is a bigger deal for them. They live in Florida, which gets hit by hurricanes. So the power actually will go out for like days there, but still good to have. We actually had a power outage earlier in the week here. Also step ladders. If you need to clean stuff in your house or clean the gutters or kind of trim trees or whatever, like having a ladder is really useful. We talked about what kind of ladders kind of make sense and what else, fire extinguishers, things like that. I had also in this process kind of formally documented all of the remaining things that I already knew I wanted to buy. So the house, of course, was a big financial expense. I kind of held off on anything else I'd want here. Mine kind of give examples off the top of my head. So I want a projector set up in the living room because that'll be better for Bible studies. Also, just really cool, kind of immersive experience for watching movies. I want to get an electric bicycle to bike to work, maybe even weightlifting equipment. I'm going to need a new computer to drive the projector because right now I only have one. I have the tablet, which is what I'm recording this on right now. So things like that. Well, all of these expenses, I was waiting until I had the home loan kind of stabilized and finalized. I know exactly what my financial situation looks like. So kind of wrote up formally this entire list of all the other things that I think I want to buy here. I'll space this out over time. I won't go crazy. Make sure I keep enough of a financial buffer to be prudent and things like that. So kind of buying a list here of house related things that I should buy. Just things that will kind of make my life here as a homeowner easier and things that are good to have up front. And then the list of things that I kind of the final count here of anything else that I really want to spend money on before I say, you know what, I have everything that I need. There's nothing else that I think would really bring me a lot of value. And so I'm really not that far off. Like I said, just a few things. I mean, it's not super cheap because some of these things are expensive, like the electric bike. If I get a nice one that goes 28 miles an hour, so the class 3 electric bikes, well, you don't get those are thousands of dollars, right? But they can kind of replace a car, which is pretty cool. So anyway, I've made that list of things as well there. Not so much focused on the homeownership stuff, but just the final list of things that I want to kind of fill the house that I have now. Other thing that happened here on this Friday, so kind of on a whim, my little sister and I had kind of been reminiscing about when we overlapped a year in college. We had this Bible study group going, a really good group of people when I was at UGA doing these Bible studies. And we had a whole bunch of good conversations. It was kind of a fun debate oriented group. We talked, several of the folks are Eastern Orthodox, which is, of course, I'm a Protestant. And so we disagree on some stuff, but always a very engaging, lively discussion that we had. And so just thinking about that, because we talked about it a little bit, I'd asked kind of what happened after I graduated, because it's been almost 2 years now since I graduated. Like, did it outlive me, that Bible study that I'd been organizing, and what they talk about, and what happened when my older sister went back to graduate school, and one of my other friends in the group graduated and actually went to seminary, and kind of what happened, basically. And then she kind of explained it, and I was like, you know what, hey, I could drive back up to Athens with you and go to UGA. Do you think anyone's around? And so then I posted in the group chat that we'd had, and actually everyone was there. My friend in graduate school, or not in graduate school, in seminary in Boston, was going to be there. Actually, he was around, and the other folks were still local, and so we actually scheduled to get together. Kind of, we hadn't seen each other for a couple of years here. We were all planning on catching up, and schedule that here on this Friday night. And actually, given that, I started thinking all of these people aren't really presently involved in the online community that I've been a system administrator for in the last couple of years, because that community is very specifically focused around Ichthus. So the Bible study website that I mostly follow, and other people who follow it, well, that community forum is really dedicated to people who kind of follow that ministry. So people who mostly agree with each other, who want a place to discuss that teaching and some questions relating to it, and just have fellowship within that community. But a lot of other friends that I've made over the years who maybe don't quite agree so much in this way, not quite so uniform, well, it's just really not the right place for them. That's not the goal and purpose of that community. And so I started thinking about, well, could I make another one? Could I have another forum, another community where we have conversations, maybe not quite so focused on the things that we all already agree upon, but something that's more discussion oriented. Now, there's pros and cons to this. It can be difficult for new people to kind of figure out who they should listen to and things if there's more overt disagreement. So definitely not for everyone, but it has its benefits too. It kind of forces you to be rigorous in defending what you actually believe, kind of in an apologetic sense. So I started brainstorming about all of this, and made a write-up for how this open discussion forum, this more open one that I'm discussing here. So not strictly people who agree with the Ichthus teaching, but I have quite a few friends actually from Bible studies and stuff throughout my college years who I think would kind of benefit from being in a community, being able to talk to each other, have these discussions about all of these biblical topics. So I just kind of started thinking about this, the more open forum idea here. I made a list too. I have probably about 20 people, 25 people off the top of my head who I think might be a good match for this. So kind of had this idea bouncing around in my head and put my initial thoughts to paper here on Friday the 26th here. So probably the big things that we had done today was that walk, and then scheduling the Bible study stuff. I mean, it didn't take a long time once we had that idea, but it's actually hard to schedule around like 5 people or 6 people, as anyone who's ever worked on work teams, being responsible for scheduling meetings goes. The more people you have, the harder it is. And so we picked a time, and we decided to do it on Sunday there, but got all of this stuff set up. And then I was actually pretty excited. I haven't seen these people in a while. I was really looking forward to catching up and seeing where everyone was. So that's what happened here on Friday the 26th. And in a second, I'll go over what I did on Saturday the 27th.